Hello and welcome back. Are you ready for a really fun, practical, and honestly just incredibly useful deep dive today?
I know I am. I feel like today's topic is something literally everyone deals with.
Oh, absolutely. So I want to ask you, listening right now, have you ever confidently fired off an email to your entire team? Or maybe you spoke up to make a brilliant point in a meeting, and then a second later you feel that sudden cold dread.
Oh, no.
I know the one. You just freeze and think, wait, did that sound completely wrong?
Yeah, it's a terrible feeling. I mean, the immediate reaction is usually this mild panic attack, right? Which is quickly followed by furiously rereading your own sent messages to see if anyone noticed.
Exactly. But look, we want to assure you right out of the gate, you are absolutely not alone. Even fluent, long-time English speakers just freeze up on the basics all the time.
They really do. And that is exactly why today's deep dive is dedicated to the grammar rules that people forget the most.
And to be clear, we are not going to sit here and read a dry textbook to you. That's not what this is.
No, definitely not. The goal today is to look at why these mistakes happen in the real world. Because, grammar isn't about memorizing hundreds of random rules.
Right.
It's actually about understanding a few mechanical patterns. And once you see them, your English just naturally sounds more professional and confident.
Yeah, because the human brain naturally looks for patterns anyway.
Exactly. When you understand the logic behind how a sentence is built, you stop guessing and you just start knowing.
So true. So let's look at where sentences usually fall apart first, which is the foundation. And it seems simple. I mean, a person does a thing, but somehow we constantly get the action mismatched with the person doing it.
Right. So you're talking about subject-verb agreement here. And the core concept is pretty straightforward. If you have a singular subject, you need a singular verb. A plural subject needs a plural verb.
Okay, right. Let's do a quick repeat after me for the listeners.
Yeah.
So it's not he go to school every day.
Right. It's he goes to school every day.
And it's not they goes to school.
Exactly. It's they go to school.
Okay, but let me push back a little on this because honestly, nobody actually walks around saying he go to the store instead of he goes. So why is this considered such a massive trap for professionals?
Well, that's a great point. It's because in a corporate setting or a professional email, your sentences aren't that short. The human brain gets easily distracted by all the other words surrounding the subject.
Oh, okay. Give me an example.
So think about an email where you write, the board of directors are happy with the new report.
Right, and because the word directors plural, my ear naturally just wants to hear the word are right next to it.
Precisely. Your ear is tricked by the closest noun. But the actual subject of that sentence is the board, which is a single entity.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it really should be. The board of directors is happy. When you mismatch them in a long, complicated sentence, a fluent ear catches that friction instantly, even if they can't explicitly name the grammar rule.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
You always have to trace the action back to the true subject, no matter how many words are in between. And, that friction you're talking about is honestly even worse when it's written down.
Oh, completely.
Because speaking is one thing. It just disappears into the air. But typing out a message is where the real anxiety lives. Which brings me to the words that sound identical but act entirely different. Your versus your, and its versus its.
Right. So these are arguably the most common writing mistakes in the entire professional world. And honestly, the confusion stems entirely from what we assume an apostrophe is supposed to do.
Well, yeah, because typically an apostrophe means someone owns something, right? Like the company's quarterly report or the manager's desk.
Exactly.
So logically, if I want to say the dog wagged its tail,
Yeah.
I feel like I should put an apostrophe in it. It just feels completely backward that the possessive form has no apostrophe.
I know. That is a brilliant point, and it's exactly why this mistake is so universal. We have been deeply conditioned to view the apostrophe as this little hook that holds possession. But for these specific pronouns, you actually have to think of the apostrophe as a surgical scar.
Wait, I love that. A surgical scar.
Yeah, it shows where letters have literally been removed. An apostrophe in your or. It's almost always means there's a hidden word. Two words have been stitched together.
Oh,
so your literally means you are. And it's with the scar means it is, or sometimes it has.
All right, let's put this into practice. For everyone listening, it's time for a quick spot the mistake challenge. Try to mentally correct this before we do.
Let's do it.
I see this in chat messages all the time. You're welcome, spelled Y-O-U-R. Mathematically, using our new rule, what is that actually saying?
Well, because there is no apostrophe there, it's claiming possession. So it literally translates to the welcome that belongs to you. which makes absolutely no sense.
Right.
You are trying to say, you are welcome, so it desperately needs that surgical scar, Y-O-U''R-E.
Exactly. Okay, what about this one? Its color is blue, spelled with an apostrophe.
Again, expand the scar. Are you trying to say it is color is blue?
No, definitely not.
Right. So you drop the apostrophe. Its color is blue, I-T-S. The hidden word trick really never fails.
That is such a good trick. Okay, so once you figure out who owns an item, the next logical hurdle is talking about how many of those items you actually have.
Yes.
And this is where I feel like the local grocery store has been lying to us our entire lives.
I know exactly what you're going to say. The infamous 10 items or less checkout lane.
Yes. I see that sign, and I just think it is perfectly fine English. But structurally, it's completely wrong, isn't it?
It really is. This comes down to the fundamental difference between things we can count individually and things that exist as a continuous mass.
Okay.
If you can physically count the items, like 1 book, 2 students, 10 groceries, you absolutely must use many or fewer.
Wait, let me stress test this. Because I hear people say, oh, I have less books than you all the time. But books are physical objects. I can point to them. 1 book, 2 books.
Right. So technically, less books is incorrect. Because you can count them, it really have to be, I have fewer books. So that grocery sign should actually read 10 items or fewer. But on the other hand, you would say, I have less free time than you because time is an abstract, uncountable mass.
Oh, okay. So if I have a glass of water, I can't count water. I wouldn't say I have 1 water or 2 waters.
Exactly. The concept of water itself is a mass. So you use much or less, you drink less water, but you count fewer bottles of water.
Got it. And for much and many, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I don't have many water. I'd say I don't have much water.
Exactly. But you would say I don't have many friends because you can count friends.
So the golden rule here is basically drink less water, but count fewer students.
Exactly.
It's almost philosophical. Like, are we dealing with distinct objects or an ocean of something?
Precisely. And honestly, once you separate the countable objects from the uncountable masses in your head, the vocabulary just chooses itself.
That makes it so much easier. Okay, speaking of distinct objects, let's look at how we introduce them in a sentence. We all learned the basic vowels in grade school, A, E, I, O, U.
All right.
And we were taught that if a word starts with a vowel, you put an in front of it, an apple, an umbrella. But there is a massive trap here that catches people.
Oh, yeah, because the rule we learn as kids is actually a massive oversimplification. It is not about the first letter of the word at all. It is entirely about the first sound.
Which completely changes the game, because if I look at the phrase, an honest person, the word honest starts with an H. That is definitely a consonant.
It is, but the H is silent. You pronounce it on-est, which is an O vowel sound. Therefore, it requires an.
But why does our mouth demand this? Why can't I just say a honest person?
It really comes down to vocal mechanics. You know, English evolved as a spoken language first to flow smoothly out of the mouth. Try saying apple out loud.
A apple. Yeah, there's a weird stop in the middle there, like a little hiccup in my throat.
Exactly. Linguists call that a glottal stop. When you put 2 vowel sounds back to back, your vocal cords have to abruptly stop and restart. Adding that N sound acts as a physical bridge. An apple, it just flows.
That makes so much sense. It's literally just physical convenience for our throats. And it works in reverse too, right?
It does.
Because think about the word university. It starts with a U, which is absolutely a vowel. But if I try to say N university, it feels super clunky.
Right, because the sound you are actually making is U. Like the letter Y, university, that is a consonant sound. There is no glottal stop happening, so you don't need the N bridge. It is simply a university.
My mind is officially blown right now. We aren't doing grammar anymore, we're doing vocal acoustic.
Pretty much. When in doubt, trust your ear over your eyes.
Okay, so we've counted our objects, we've smoothed out our vowel sounds. Now we have to organize these thoughts logically. Let's talk about comparing things and tracking time. 2 words, then and than.
Oh, this is a big one.
They sound nearly identical in fast conversation.
Which is exactly why they are chronically swapped in writing, but the underlying mechanics are completely different. Then, spelled with an E, is strictly an indicator of time or sequence.
Right, first this, then that. Finish your homework, then watch TV.
Yes. But than, spelled with an A, is exclusively a mathematical comparison. She is taller than me. This laptop is faster than the old one.
Okay, let's unpack a really common error here. What about when someone says, she is more smarter than me?
Oh, that is a fantastic example because it actually stacks two comparisons on top of each other. The word smarter already does the comparing. Adding more is totally redundant. It's like saying someone is more taller.
So you just drop the more.
Yeah.
She is smarter than me, spelled T-H-A-N, because we are weighing two people against each other.
Correct.
Speaking of mathematical comparisons, I really want to talk about equations, specifically double negatives.
Oh.
Because you hear this everywhere, in pop songs, in movies, just chatting casually with friends. People say things like, I don't know nothing, or I didn't see nobody.
It's fascinating because in a lot of casual dialects, double negatives are actually used to emphasize a point. They stack the negatives to basically say, I really don't know anything. But in standard, professional English, it breaks the logic of the sentence entirely.
I actually like to think about it purely as an algebra problem.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, if you remember middle school math, two negatives cancel each other out and create a positive.
That is a perfect analogy.
So if you say, I don't know nothing, you are mathematically stating that you do know something.
Huh.
You are literally canceling out your own negative.
Exactly.
If you didn't see nobody, that implies you actually saw somebody. The listener has to mentally flip your sentence backward just to figure out what you actually mean.
And in professional communication, you never want your listener doing mental gymnastics. The fix is really straightforward. Pick one negative word and just commit to it.
Right.
So instead of I don't know nothing, use I don't know anything. Instead of I didn't see nobody, use I didn't see anybody.
Keep it mathematically sound. I love that. All right. We are moving into the expert level nuances now. These are the patterns that even native speakers consistently stumble over, especially at work. Let's talk about physical actions. Lie versus lay.
This one is notorious. People use them interchangeably all the time, but they describe two very different states. The core distinction is really about whether or not an object is involved. Lie means to rest or recline. You do it yourself. It takes no object.
So I'm exhausted. I need to lie down. I'm not doing anything to anyone else. It's just me collapsing on the couch.
Correct. But lay means to put something somewhere. It requires an object. You cannot just lay. You have to lay something down. Please lay the book on the table.
Okay, but what if I lay myself down?
Then yourself is the object. But if you are just describing the resting state in general, it's lie.
Lie equals no object. Lay equals object. Got it. Which brings us to arguably the most intimidating pair of words in the English language.
Oh, boy.
Who versus whom.
It really does strike fear into people, doesn't it?
It totally does. It feels like if I use whom incorrectly, a guy in a tuxedo is just going to show up and confiscate my diploma. But there is a brilliant, completely foolproof trick for this, the he and him trick.
Yes, it is the most reliable way to figure it out. If you can answer the implied question with he or she, you use who. If the answer is him or her, you use whom.
Okay, let's walk through the mechanics of why that actually works. Let's take the sentence, who is calling? The answer is he's calling. So who is correct?
Exactly. And notice how he and who are both the subjects taking the action. Now try the other side. Whom did you invite?
Well, I wouldn't say I invited he. I would say I invited him.
Right. And look really closely at the architecture of the words there. Him ends in the letter M. Whom ends in the letter M. That is not a coincidence.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they are both object pronouns. They receive the action. If the answer ends in M, the question ends in M.
Okay, the M connects them. That is a fantastic visual. But let's be real for a second. Why do we still struggle with this so much? Is it just because whom feels a bit, I don't know, pretentious?
Honestly, yes. Whom is slowly falling out of everyday conversational English. I mean, if you ask a friend, who did you invite to the party, no one is going to correct you. But in a formal setting or a high-stakes written document, knowing the distinction instantly elevates your professional credibility.
Well, let's keep building that professional credibility then. Let's look at prepositions, these tiny little connecting words that establish relationships between things.
They are tricky.
They seem totally harmless, but they are absolute landmines, especially for people translating directly from another language. So let's do a quick fill-in-the-blank activity. I'll give you a common mistake, and if you're listening, try to mentally correct it before the expert does.
Sounds fun.
Here we go. I am good in English.
The correct phrase is good at English. You are pointing to a specific skill.
Nice. Next, I'm interested on AI.
It should be interested in AI. You are immersing yourself inside the topic.
Here's a tricky one that causes awkward moments all the time. She is married with Raj.
Yeah, a very common translation error. It must be married to Raj.
And finally, the spatial relationships. This one actually changed how I view locations entirely. How do you know when to use arrive at versus arrive in?
It is entirely about scale and visualization. Imagine a map in your head. You arrive at a specific pinpoint or a small building. I arrived at the office. I arrived at the cafe.
Like dropping a pin on Google Maps.
Exactly. But you arrive in large, contained areas like cities, countries, or continents. You are entering a boundary. I arrived in Delhi. I arrived in London.
Pinpoint versus container.
Right.
I absolutely love visualizing that. All right, to really prove how seamless this sounds when you stack all these patterns together, let's do a quick real-life role play.
Let's do it.
Let's set the scene. It's a manager and an employee reviewing a project. I'll be the manager.
And I will be the employee.
All right. Who prepared this report?
I did.
It's extremely well written. Your attention to detail is impressive.
Thank you. I'm trying to improve my communication every day.
And scene. Let's pause and dissect what just happened there.
Yeah.
That was a completely normal, natural conversation, but it was packed with the rules we just discussed.
Exactly. As the manager, you correctly use who because the answer was I did, which is subject.
Right.
You used it's with an apostrophe, the surgical scar, to mean that it is extremely well written.
And I used your with no apostrophe to show possession of the attention to detail. Then you, as the employee, finished with I'm, showing the hidden word I am.
It flows so smoothly that you don't even notice the grammar, honestly. You just notice the competence.
Which brings us perfectly to our quick recap. For everyone listening, when you are writing that next big email, use this 4-step security check. First, check your verbs. Does the single or plural verb match the true subject, not just the closest noun?
Very important.
Second, check your apostrophes. Are you showing possession, or do you have a hidden word? Third, check your quantities. Are you counting distinct objects with fewer or measuring an uncountable mass with less? And finally, check your logic. Are you talking about the sequence of time with then or comparing two things with then?
It is literally a security checkpoint for your sentences.
It really is. And that leads me to our grammar challenge for you listening right now. Sometime today, whether you are texting a friend, writing a project update, or literally just ordering coffee, I want you to actively deploy 5 of these corrected patterns in real life. Try to deliberately use fewer instead of less, or perfectly nail its ways without an apostrophe in a text.
That is a brilliant challenge because really the core takeaway from this deep dive is that good grammar isn't about sounding like a flawless textbook. It is simply about clear, frictionless communication.
Yes.
Every small correction strengthens your voice. Great English isn't built by memorizing every rule in a weekend, you know? It's built by actively replacing common mistakes one sentence at a time. Confidence comes before perfection.
Confidence comes before perfection. That is so validating to hear because we spend so much energy terrified of making a mistake, terrified of that whom tuxedo guy showing up, that we sometimes freeze up entirely and just stop speaking.
Which completely defeats the whole purpose of language. Language exists for connection, not restriction. And actually, I want to leave you with one final, slightly provocative thought to chew on.
Oh, I'm ready.
We just spent this entire deep dive establishing these firm, unbreakable rules. But language is a living, breathing organism. It evolves entirely based on how people actually speak in the real world.
Wait, so you're saying the rules can change?
They change constantly. Dictionaries are updated every single year based on common usage. So it's highly possible that 100 years from now, some of the very mistakes we just corrected, like using less for countable items or dropping whom altogether, might actually become the official standard rules of the English language.
That is wild to think about. The embarrassing typos of today could be the gold standard grammar of tomorrow.
Exactly.
But I suppose until that century passes, we should probably stick to the checklist so we don't confuse our bosses.
Definitely. Until then, we play by the current rules.
Well, that wraps up today's deep dive. Remember, do not let the fear of a missing apostrophe keep you from sharing your ideas. Keep speaking, keep testing these patterns, and keep building that confidence one sentence at a time. Have an amazing day, everyone.
Take care and keep practicing.